7-yard line. That's a great call, too. Blake Baker, Plummer will put it up, throws over the middle. Pull, touchdown. Red flag.
3rd down and 5. Levis swings it to Scadaboo. Scadaboo breaks defenders. Here he goes again. Scadaboo is the running back, and he is immediately met in the backfield, runs through the contact, and then throws a shoulder for good measure.
We're going to chuck this team this year. That is true. High in the air. Right center field. Brandon Compton. Welcome to 2025. The other way. Still going back. That's the drag. Walks up and down.
Edwards pulls off and buries it.
Richardson drives out for Robbie Ryan. Hurt 3 right on the money.
Takes his shot for Derby. Flag out. Doesn't matter. Touchdown.
Their 22 wins are tied for its most in the last 8 seasons. They'll be taking on either the Cavs or the Sun Devils. Yeah!
There we are. What is up, my Sun Devil peeps? Welcome into Monday's edition of Pitchfork Launch. Sorry about that. Sometimes hitting buttons doesn't work, and sometimes hitting buttons does work. Onward and upward as we go. But I am Michael Kirasnito at Diablo005_ on X, artist formerly known as the Twitter. As a lot of you know, I have mentioned, yes, my other account got hacked. Do not know how. I don't sign into anything crazy, whatever. Anyway, my Diablo 00 account got hacked, so hence we are here with the new handle. But you can still check out the show live there every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, on the good old X, or it was formerly known as Twitter, and my IG as well. Don't forget that you can go to the wonderful world of IG and check it out there too as well, which is again very awesome. All you do is go to Michael.Caratunito.5, pretty easy. So just add a dot between first and last name and then a .5, and we are all good to go there as well. So again, don't be bashful. Check it out there. And guys, the YouTube channel. I know I remind you of this, but go to the most wonderful YouTube channel, as you can again watch live, which you should watch live on the good old YouTube. But for those newcomers, again, forks up. I'm glad you're here. You know what I'm going to say? Shame on you. Where have you been? Because you've missed a plethora of phenomenal con reviews. We're about to have one. Another one today with a great friend of the program, Jeff Metcalfe. Again, who covering women's basketball for the Women Report, longtime AZ Central reporter, covered Olympic sports. We talking to Jeff, obviously about, you saw the picture coming in, the women going dancing, absolutely awesome. Molly Miller, again, another first for her in her first year at ASU. I was going to say not first year coaching. This is the first year ever coaching. I mean, literally, you might want to mic drop and retire because it could not get any. I mean, especially if and again, Jeff will bring me back down to earth. He said it would take a lot, but if they were to go on and win a national title, but which the Final Four is here in Arizona. So I mean, you never know. But go to YouTube, guys. You can watch live, but subscribe. You see my name, Michael Carrots. My page is at Emmons and Michael V is in Victory Season Champ 005 at MVC005 on YouTube, guys, and subscribe away. Because like I said, everything you've missed, whether it be coaches, players, voices, insiders, alum, our phenomenal athletic director who will, again, is now looking for a men's coach. But hey, no pressure in the basketball program world, right? Because, Molly Miller comes in and does this in her first year. So on the men's side, no, again, I kid because we can, and it's awesome. But but again, go to YouTube, subscribe, get all caught up. You can binge watch season 1, keep watching season 3, binge watch season 2, and yes, keep watching season 3, and then you'll be all caught up and rolling as we get into season 4 next year. So, but hey, it was a big weekend. Both softball, which you guys, a lot of you know I was at. Softball had a series win against Oklahoma State. It's the first time since I think they said 2015 that Oklahoma State has lost its first 2 conference series in softball. And for those that know softball, the pitching they've had, not a surprise. The teams they've had, yes, but the pitching that they've had, not a surprise. So softball gets the series win. Baseball, my friends, gets the series win over TCU as they start. They started Big 12 play a week later, and they beat TCU, and they dropped the game Friday night. Oh, Friday night, man, that was a tough one. I mean, they're all tough when you lose, but I mean, they lost 5-4, but then turn around Saturday night and win 15-8. As I'm watching that, and then they shut TCU out yesterday, who's number 17 in the country, 4-0 for Coach Bloomquist. So forks up to that part of the weekend on the softball side. Like I said, yes, you guys know they got 2 out of 3. Friday night was insane. It was a huge heavyweight fight. It went extra innings, went 8 innings. The Devils won 3-2 over Oklahoma State, beating Ruby Malin, again, former University of Washington pitcher who, again, Coach Bartlett knows what kind of pitcher she is because saw her that left for her first year here, but lasted the Pac-12. Saw her last year, all that good stuff. So, but they win 3-2, a walk-off home run from Kaylee Pond, a 2-run shot from Brooklyn Ulrich earlier. Oklahoma State had a 2-run shot off Kenzie Brown, who had 14 strikeouts to 6 walks. It was crazy. And then Saturday was beautiful. They get the nice 5-4 victory to win the series. And then yesterday, Ruby Malin, again, just contact wasn't there. But again, when your ace sees, and Jeff can attest to this when we get him on shortly, when your ace sees all this, when you go back and review and the hitters and, there's not much you can change. And yeah, I mean, there might be gives that she has, but yeah, phenomenal pitcher. And Kenzie Brown, I mean, again, like the way they pitch, like you look at both teams' numbers yesterday, and it's just crazy because, yes, Oklahoma State put up 4, but yeah, loving where Coach Bartlett has this team. Now it is hate week. They're going down to Tucson, taking on that team down south. They are now 22-7 overall, 2-4 pardon me, 2-4 in conference play, and they're 23-7, like I said, overall, which is good. 2-4 in conference play, 21-7 at home. Again, it's been a nice little home run, and they don't have to leave the state of Arizona until, like I said, Tucson next weekend, and then the week after that, they are in North Carolina for, as they take on NC State, Marist, and UNC, and then Marist, UNC on next Saturday, and then they're at Kansas to open up Big 12 road play. So a lot coming from there. I was also quickly at a phenomenal water polo matchup as number 3 USC was taking on our 5th-ranked Devils, and man, it was back and forth. Early on, we're actually going to catch up with Coach Party this week. So very stoked about that. They had the alumni game as well too, but afterwards was senior night or senior day, I should say. But 21-17, they fell to SC, and man, it was back and forth. And then USC just went on a little bit of a run in the third before ASU could respond, and a lot in transition. But you can see why this team for ASU is number 5 again. They are now still a stellar 23-4, 15-2 at home, 1-1 away, 7-1 neutral site. So forks up to all that. It was a busy weekend. But we're going to take a quick break, let you guys get set, because when we get back after this short commercial, Jeff Metcalfe is going to be here. And again, I talked about it Friday, a loss on the Sun Devil family. The women hoops team is going dancing. So again, we'll have the full spectrum here on Pitchfork Lunch coming right up. All right, we are back here on Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, I am Michael Cartino at Diablo005_ on X, artistly known as the Twitter. Go to my IG as well, Michael.Cartino.5. Check out So Live every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, along with the YouTube. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Champ 005, at MVC005 on YouTube, and subscribe away. Because, like I told you, you're not going to want to miss out. And yes, this next gentleman, great friend of the program. Love when he comes on. As you guys know, covered ASU women's hoops, Olympic sports for a few minutes at AZ Central, and now covering women's hoops for the Wilner Report, and doing stuff with Sports 360 AZ. A great friend of the program, Jeff Metcalfe. Jeff, hey man, thanks so much for jumping in today. Man, your article again. We'll get to that, but man, Molly Miller first, and they're going dancing. Pretty crazy.
Well, going into the selection show, I think everybody expected that they were going to get in. It was, I guess, a little nerve-wracking to have to wait to be the last team announced in the
Right.
16-team field. But the one thing about the announcement of the selection show was that even when they were down to the last four slots there was still a first four game that had to be put into that little section there.
Right.
So I was pretty sure that ASU was going to get in there. And I was actually a little surprised that it came in as a 10 seed because I was thinking it was either going to be 11 or even a 12. So to me, it's kind of the best, even though they had to wait till the end, it's kind of the best that they could have hoped for. Because if they are able to beat Virginia in the first four game, because it's a 10 seed, that means they're going to be playing the 7
Right.
in the opening round instead of potentially a 6 or a 5. Now you still got to get past Virginia to make that happen, but I think that's the best case scenario for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, in the beginning, when they started out 15-0, I'm like, I remember we were sitting at a game, and I'm like, man, if they just go 500, the rest of the way, they should make the tournament as long as they don't get blown out a lot in losses, and they did. So
and that's pretty much what they did. Although I think what they did in the Big 12 tournament was very important for them to have gotten really blown out by Iowa State in the regular season, just a few weeks prior to that, then come back and basically wire to wire beat them in the tournament. And then on top of that, play a respectable game against West Virginia. I think that's what kind of iced the whole thing.
Right. Well, so real quick before we get to the article, when you look at Virginia, I mean, I know Coach Miller talked about they like to play a little zone, and we know we've seen the Devils have their kind of a little bit of a roller coaster with the zone at times, Jeff. But what does Virginia look like?
Well, I've looked at some of the metrics and some of the comparisons between the two. I think they're pretty close, to be honest with you. Virginia has an all ACC player named is Kamora Johnson.
Yeah.
And she averages about 19, 20 points a game. That's obviously going to be the key defensive assignment. Given that they do not have a double-figure score, more just balanced scoring, which is a little bit like ASU in a way, although ASU actually has a couple of double-figure scores. So I think it's kind of a toss-up game, but I think it's also a winnable game for ASU. They will have had 12 days off from their last game in the Big 12 tournament till when they play on Thursday. I think that's real important for ASU because they definitely have had some banged-up players, Gabby Elliott and some other people that needed time off. So I think that will help them. And we've seen all year long, the first time you play ASU and you kind of get their defense thrown in your face, it can be a tough thing to adjust to on the fly. So, I'm sure Virginia will be tough defensively. It's going to work the other way too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just thinking because I know I heard the word zone, and you and I have, definitely talked about it.
Well, if you were going to play ASU, if anybody knew anything about ASU, you would play zone against them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, provided you could play an adequate zone. I mean, it just makes sense. So, it's going to be up to ASU to shoot well enough and get the zone and do the thing. It may be a 60-point game. It may be the low 60s and, come down to the wire. That wouldn't shock me at all. But, ASU's got to be prepared for that because they've already seen it and teams have had success playing zone against them.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like I said, when you saw it, it's but like you said too, I did like what you said. When that defense gets thrown in your face, it's very very challenging. So But again, and there's no obviously easy transition. You had a phenomenal, article tribute on the website. I was talking about it Friday. Just so sad about what happened. Obviously, we know that triathlon has been so dominant, and Hannah Henry, obviously, an early part of that, a tragic accident. Like, man, putting this 26 years old, it's crazy in a bike accident. But I mean, you covered triathlon and you were out there. What was it just like being around like triathlon, even seeing it like then, and just like getting to know Hannah over the years?
Well, I wish I knew her better, to be honest with you, especially now that I've delved into it a little bit more. And I did write what you were talking about. They asked me at Arizona State to write a tribute piece to her that they posted on their website. So if people haven't seen that, please take a look at it. But I think the more you look into who she was, what she was beyond triathlon, which was a two-time national champion and a runner-up in her time at ASU, I think every aspect of her life just jumps out at you, from academics to the way she lived her life to the athletic piece of it. She was into sustainability, and that was going to be her career path. She was already going down that career path. So very green, climate conscious woman. I just really believe it was just a huge tragedy, like you said, but I do believe that her life was a triumph, if you want to put it that way. I think she got the most out of her 26 years. You just wish that, there could have been 50 or 60 more.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, and when you said, like, in the article too, because I mean, like, when it was, because when I know it happened a few weeks ago, and I saw it, and I was like, are you like cycling? And the thing I thought of, and it like, and I think I was saying this to Jenna, but like, when the U.S. men's hockey team won the gold medal, and like they skated over and they brought out Johnny Gaudreau's kids. Like, I'm like, man, if people aren't a little teary-eyed now, I'm like, that's just crazy. Because like, but my point is, because of like a cycling accident, and you see like, and the thing that is crazy, because like in 2018, I was saying, man, I'm like, I heard she won it, so I'm like, I gotta go check out this championship. Like, I'm like, I know I couldn't do. I could do this, but it would take me like a day to finish, and nobody would stick around to watch the end. But man, just like being there to see like what she did, but like something like this, and it's like a hit and run, like you said, and her being remembered, like, and then the fact that like she actually like was training for like marathons, and she was training for marathons as well too, right?
She had run a marathon. She ran the rock and roll half marathon here. Then she ran a full marathon in Vancouver. So I don't know exactly. I believe she had qualified for Boston. So assuming, just qualifying doesn't necessarily mean you'll go run it. But, I'm assuming because she was qualified, maybe she was planning to go to Boston this year.
Right.
So, again, tragedy, no doubt about it. The thing about the championship she won, I was at both of those races. That's really the only time I was around her. But when you think about ASU's coming up in triathlon now on its 10th anniversary, and the sport in general is edging very close now to becoming full-fledged NCAA championship sport.
Right.
The championship right now is still conducted and sponsored by USA Triathlon, but there's a few more hoops to jump through before they'll actually get to NCAA sponsorship. Then the results will count like all these other sports when it comes to the Directors' Cup. So if you have a team that finishes number one, number two, like ASU has over these years, those points are going to count toward the Directors' Cup. But the point I'm getting at more is, I think when you look at Hannah and her life, and you say this period from triathlon being an emerging NCAA emerging sport to a full-fledged NCAA championship sport, that's what her legacy, not just overall because she did a lot more in her life, but just from the triathlon aspect, that's going to be her legacy of sort of being one of the faces of ASU, and ASU being, at least from a power conference school, the for triathlon to become a championship sport.
Right.
So I think that's kind of a big legacy for her that we're never going to forget that.
Oh no, because like you said, I mean, that's funny because I had obviously read your stuff back then, but I hadn't met you yet. But yes, I was at 2018, and I just watching, and I was like, man, I'm like, this is awesome. We go back to back is insane, and then and then you look at all the training for a sport like triathlon, as well, you and I and a lot of people understand like the time that it takes. But then, she sits there and graduates summa cum laude, like you had talked about in 2021, and then gets a master's in global management in 2023, and then became what you said was working in sustainability. And I even saw one of her in the article, you said one of her she changed her diet just because she wasn't just having a job, it was what she did, and the correlation between triathlon and that she just put everything into it. So what else did you learn when you were talking to some of her former teammates though?
I think that just the biggest thing I learned was that when you were around her, at least for me, when I was around her the few times, she was very quiet, and she just she won the national championship, but she was kind of talking more about her teammates and not really taking a lot of credit that you would have expected, or, just being over the top, wound up about winning a national championship. And both of those championships were here in Tempe. They were right down at the lake. So, she was kind of in her hometown and still very sort of calm and quiet about the whole thing. But then when you talk to some of her teammates or Cliff English, the coach, other people that were around her, you found out, okay, there was more, what would you say? Just, she was more outgoing than maybe she came across just when you were around her during her athletic participation. And so that was kind of cool to learn about that. And, loving Taylor Swift, loving to travel, loving to cook. People just talked about a lot of fun things that she did that maybe you wouldn't necessarily see right on the surface.
Right. And like you said, it's always and a lot of people say, oh, it's probably tongue in cheek, a lot of athletes giving credit to their teammates, but like you said, getting to listening to her teammates. And the funny thing, I as tough as the article is, when her teammate was it Audrey Ahern was saying something that she used reusable Ziploc baggies from her freshman year. And she was a room, when you see stuff like that, it's man, it's that's going to a whole nother level with it. But like you said, just to have like you said, the Taylor Swift memories, the Eras tour started in Glendale, and that, man, that's just it's just so cycling out is you hear, you think of it and it's man, it can happen. You always see it, wear bright colors and this and that. And I mean, but the fact that makes it, one of the things that makes it even tougher is it's again, you feel the family's got to agree, but the fact that it was a hit and run. Do you know if they've made any headway on the person that did that hit her?
No, they didn't really want me to get into the legality part of all this in the tribute that I wrote, just basically to write about what kind of person she was, which was the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was, by all accounts, impaired, may have fallen asleep. He said he fell asleep. Anyway, she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. She was in the bike lane. She was following all the appropriate rules. But it's dangerous out there. I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this, but I've been hit twice on my bike.
Oh,
no. And one of them was a hit and run. And it came down on my head and had my helmet on. And the helmet these helmets are designed to absorb the shock and will actually break if if there's enough impact. And that's what happened to my helmet. That's how hard I went into the ground. So I guess just from a personal standpoint, I can relate to the dangers out there. I'm not equating it at all to anything that had to do with Hannah, but I just understand. Now I basically won't even ride on the streets now. I just ride on the canals on my mountain bike, and I don't even want to go on the street. So, and that's doesn't mean shouldn't have been out there riding. And
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's just a very difficult thing, and I would remind everybody when you're out there, bikes have as much right on the road as cars do. You learn that all the time, but you got to be very aware of what's going on.
I mean, I look, and everybody always says, "Oh, I always pay attention," but I mean, I remember from having older cousins with motorcycles, and just like we as kids biking everywhere a lot, but like sometimes we're like, oh, it probably shouldn't be on the road, but like get in the bike lane, but like paying, to your point though, like always paying attention, because I've had motorcycles throughout the years, like I've told you, and it's like I would go just you have to kind of laugh because you can't drive angry and get mad. Like people are like, I'm in your line of sight, like you're just not paying attention. They just get over. They don't like even being on a motorcycle. But every time I see a bike, like I remember that from the driving, because like if you see it in the bike lane, like yes, check your mirrors, but scoot it, at least 3 feet away. So I mean, I would usually always like change lanes if I saw like anybody biking and stuff like that, and it's just yeah, it's just tough. But no, I think you did tell me the one time, because you did. I mean, now that you said your helmet cracked, I couldn't believe that. Like that. I mean, yeah, I know that's what the newer designs are made for, but that's just. I mean, and like my dad used to say to me, like with my motorcycle helmet, well, it's better than your head cracking. I go, yeah, pretty much. You're right about that. And so, but you said too that I mean, nothing I know has been like set yet, but they might name the Freshman of the Year award in her name.
Yeah, that's what Cliff English told me. I think that they have discussed different options. I think they want to make sure that whatever they do is has the blessing of the family.
Right.
And the championships are going to be here again this coming fall. So between now and then, I think they'll probably do something to sort of honor her throughout the entire season. But I think the sport in general wants to do something to honor her at the national championships.
And I feel like when I was reading your article, I was thinking, oh man, because like a lot of times I would like workout wise, and again, not that I was crazy breaking records, but I would swim at El Dorado, and a lot of like ASU, like some ASU swimmers, but like I met a few people that did, because I saw the bag, and I was just talking to a few that were on the triathlon team. There's a guy and again, I feel bad because like I don't remember, and I saw it like a few times here and there, like schedules are just being different, but I don't know if it was him. But yeah, they talked about like it finally becoming or getting it to the point where it's NCAA, and I go, and I remember saying to both of them, I go, if you were in SEC school, they already would have made it, because if they're winning every championship, then we have to make it a sport. But you're dominating out here, so it's going to take a while.
Well, and you just talk about too the rivalry with Arizona in every sport, but now it's it's a real thing in triathlon.
I was just about to ask you that. I'm sorry. Keep going, because I was just about to say to you. It's funny because now the school down south, like it's
I believe ASU had won. I'm going to say either 6 or 7 titles in a row.
Yeah,
and U of A has won the last 2, with ASU finishing second. So you got a really nice, well, ASU people want to win them all. I get that. But you have a nice rivalry going there at a very high level as the sport progresses into the NCAA championship level. And I can guarantee you, knowing Cliff, that just fires them up more,
yes,
to have finished second the last 2 years, to do the recruiting and do the coaching and developing and all the things they need to do to get back on to number one.
Right. And I still need to get Coach English on the show again with their schedule. And I mean, even in listening to him throughout the time he's been here and stuff like that. Let me ask you this, because I know, again, and I'm not saying it, it's just something that happens. People like, oh, if it was a bigger sport, it would have happened overnight. But like, So you're saying like finally, like, it could be the fall of. It looks like it'll be the fall of 2028. But
Yeah, well, you have to get to 40 or more schools
schools. Okay.
having the sport as a varsity sport. So
Okay.
they've reached that level.
Okay.
But my understanding now is you have to get those schools to be having what I would call like a full participation. There's a full participation level that you have to reach, like sending people to meets, sending people to, you don't just say you have a varsity team, you're actually
participating,
competing as a varsity team.
Yeah.
That's what they're waiting on now. And the guy that I spoke to, I had in my story, that's the president of the College Triathlon Association. He thinks that they could get to that point this year, this coming season, which is in the fall. If they do that, then I know it seems like it takes forever. Then there will be like a 2-year review after that before they actually get to the championship level. So that's where the 2028 comes in.
And
If they get to the level where, yes, we've got the 40 plus teams, now we've got them at the full participation level per NCAA requirements, then you've got to go over this last review period before you get to the championship level.
Right. And again, I get you don't just want, and like you said, make sure people are competing and stuff like that. Like I'm not, for once, I'm not ripping the NCAA. It just seems like the process, I mean, not the beginning of it. I mean, getting the 40 teams and like you're saying, the players, but and the competitors obviously but it just seems like very so tedious at the very end. Like when I was even reading your article and stuff that I've known, I get, yes, there are things that have to be met, but at the same time, there's some things it's like, come on, man. Like these kids are.
I get what you're saying. I think COVID slowed things down somewhat. I also think that this transition into this NIL world that we're in, let's face it, at some point there's only going to be so much money.
Thank you. Yes.
And you've seen some schools that are dropping swimming. They're dropping, some other sports like that. I think there's going to be a shakeout at some point here, just because we're going to reach a point where schools can't afford to do what they've done before. ASU sponsoring the number of sports they are, they're probably, I think I'm safe in saying this, one of the schools that sponsors the most sports in the country.
Yeah, I mean, there's 26.
There are plenty of schools, power schools that are under 20.
Right.
So, I just think that, yeah, it's tedious and slow, and maybe it seems like there's too many hoops to jump through. That could be the case. I'm sure people in triathlon will tell you that. They're trying to get flag football now, women's flag football, to be an NCAA sport. So, how fast is that going to happen?
Right.
It's just hard. It's hard to add anything now because you've got so many stresses financially,
right,
just to keep up with what you've already got.
But let me ask you this, because obviously with NIL, I mean, we know like different sports, you're going to get different percentages. Kind of going off on a tangent here, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, the bigger the sport, I mean, percentage you can give to, but to me, what I see with NIL, if you start collectives, I mean, Ohio State their collective and started a Buckeye, whatever it was, something. It's not a collective, but with the way it's going. So now that you have to, clear, NIL things, but it's almost like if you can get your sport sponsored and then, or athletes can get themselves, deals sponsored, whatever. But I the one thing with the NIL though, to me, is I don't think it's not going to fall all back on the school, because every sport, like you said, I mean, and there's 26, so it's going to be obviously percentage wise, bigger sports are probably going to get more of that pie, but I just think you're right. At some point, it has to be okay, well, what do you? I mean, where do you go?
I think to me more, it's just how at this point. How can you convince a school to add a new sport? It's a hard thing to do because you're having enough trouble keeping up with the ones you have.
Well, I mean,
and
with
possibly
football,
a risk of having to cut some of what you have.
Right.
So I think that's a big issue. I do think that there's some smaller schools that have kind of embraced triathlon, but it's been slow with the power schools. There's really not that many what we would call Power 4, Power 5 schools
Right.
that have taken up triathlon. I
Right.
think that's a real aim right now, is to sort of convince some of those schools, hey, you can get into this, and not only can you get into this, and it's not going to cost you a fortune. Yes, you've got to get, bikes and some equipment and stuff like that, but it's a relatively small roster. But it's also a Title IX, helpful for your Title IX. So there's something there. But I think the other thing is that you can look at Arizona, you can get in and be successful pretty fast. So if you were, let's just say,
Right.
Colorado, Colorado seems like a perfect school to add triathlon because of all the history in Boulder, multi-sport, everyone that lived and come through Boulder. If you could get Colorado to add and be reasonably aggressive supporting the sport, they could be good really fast. And so that's one thing that they have going for it. And again, when the championship level, you get the Directors Cup points. Those all count to making your athletic department better, and maybe that'll speed up more larger schools getting involved in the sport. I want to say one more thing before we have to end here, about going back to the Final Four now. Final Four, April 3rd and 5th. Semifinals are on the 3rd. Final on the 5th here in Phoenix. First time for the women's Final Four. I don't know if you noticed, but the way the number one seeds came out, Connecticut and South Carolina, if they advanced, would meet in one semifinal.
Final, yep.
UCLA and Texas in the other. And you got LSU, which is number 5 right now, potentially playing UCLA in an Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four. So you've got some big time schools that could potentially be here. And if all 4 of them get here, of the top 4, you have an amazing Final Four. Or even if 4 of the 5, if LSU got in over one of the other ones. Of course, Connecticut, defending champion, 12 titles, going for 13. South Carolina with Don Staley. I'm so excited for what the Final Four could be here. I hope people realize it's coming, and all of the ancillary events that are going to be in downtown Phoenix that you can go to be involved in if you're not going to be able to go to the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was talking about after the event out at the arena. I was like, guys, these events are free. Like you can sign up for this. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, the events are totally free. And I said, you can't. I go, and so what you were saying, I go, without the brackets being out yet, I go, the teams that could be here, I go, because I go, I don't know what they're going to be ranked, but I go, I will tell you this, that they obviously somebody like, I go, the fact that like South Carolina and UConn are on the same side, I go, but they wouldn't meet till the Final Four, and they wouldn't also. I go, but who's ever going to be here for the Final Four and the championship? And I said, and if the Devils get in and they slide their way, I go, that would be the most phenomenal local story. I said, but I go, there's a lot of basketball to be played, and there's a lot of great teams out there. So I said, but it's just the fact that it's going to be here. So yeah, I can't. You know, the funny thing that cracks me up though, because I mean, the men's obviously has been here twice, but I can't believe and I've been talking about on the show for a while. Like you were just saying, and I've said, like the first time the women's Final Four has been here. Like that just surprises me.
Well, ASU bid on it quite a while ago. I'm going to say 20 years ago. They did the bid. I think it would have been here in the early 2000s. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember the exact year. At that point, the reason they gave was not enough infrastructure, hotel space. Basically, downtown Phoenix they considered it not to be developed enough to host the Final Four. That was the reasoning that they gave at the time. I know the people that were behind that from ASU side were really disappointed because they thought they were ready to put on a great Final Four even that long ago.
Right.
But one thing about having it now, which even if we had it then doesn't mean we wouldn't be having it now, but one thing about having it now is women's basketball at such a higher place in profile, viewership, the caliber of the game, all the things that really make it exciting to watch and are, getting more fans all the time. It's great to have it now, I guess. It would have been really good to have it then, but it's great to have it now because it's such a great time for women's basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it is a double-edged
What
sword.
the Mercury is doing and has done over its history, and now this, it's really a great thing for Phoenix to be one of the what I consider to be one of the premier places for women's basketball in the country. And look what Molly's doing now. This is just the beginning. You look at some of the people that they have coming in, 3 freshmen, Whitehorn transfer from Clemson and Tennessee. Some more people in the portal and the people they have coming back. So really to have done it this year is phenomenal, but it is just the foundation because there's going to be teams that are going to have a higher ceiling and are going to go even further into be even more successful in the tournament down the road. Right. This year, by the way, if they do beat Virginia on Thursday, they would play Georgia next. And these games are in at Iowa. So, that's what we're looking at Thursday and then potentially Saturday.
That's right. So because they're in Iowa, but they don't. It's not like the men's where they leave Dayton and they travel all the way back across the country to play.
No, the first 4 game is at Iowa. Is in Iowa.
Right, but then if they play Georgia, they still play them in Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's at least a little bit better.
So Georgia is the 7 seed in that region, in that bracket, and either ASU or Virginia both are 10 seeds. So the winner plays Georgia, and you know this well too. 7-10's prime upset. Yeah. Prime upset territory. So, after seeing ASU and how they played in the Big 12 tournament, I wouldn't put it past them if they beat Virginia to give Georgia a really good game too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've seen, I was looking at, last night I was kind of looking at highlights of different teams, and I was like, of Virginia and Georgia a little bit. I'm like, well, if I look a little bit, but I'm like, but the first thing that came to my head, and I mean, it's almost like I played for Coach Miller this year because the first thing that came into my head, like you said, but defensively we're going to throw this at them, and this is going to be hard for them. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm stoked.
There's another parallel or example if you want. Georgia's a 7 seed. So if you look at the other 7 seeds, one of them is Texas Tech. So let's just assume that the committee's got that right, and those teams on the 7 line are relatively equal. Well, we know how ASU played against Texas Tech, and it was a good game, very competitive.
Yep.
So, who's to say if you get there, you can't do that against a Georgia?
Right. No, I believe. Hey, I am with you, man. And so, but it was ASU when they were the last team, but was that 8 from the Big 12 or 6?
Yeah, 8 from the Big 12, which ties the conference record from 2008 for the most.
Yeah, that's again going 500 this year. Like you said, our first season. You win your non-con games. I mean, the thing I was saying too is I was, of course, pounding the table even harder, Jeff, is once I saw the West Coast Conference Final between Gonzaga and Oregon State, I'm like, well, ASU beat both of them, but they'll have beaten the champion and the runner-up. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I go overtime at Oregon State, then you go, I'm like, you go to Gonzaga and you beat them there too. Like, come on. I'm like, so I get it. And like I said, they're in. So like I told you at the games, I'm not going to complain. I just have to say it's, for something teams being in the first 4 and other teams not. Somebody said to me last night, okay, well, who are you putting in the first 4 for ASU? I said, look, man, I have to go back and look at a ton of schedules. I said, I don't know, but I guarantee you I can find one. I said, that's just my opinion. I'm a homer. I said, but they're there. Yeah, you got to play in that first four. But I said, hey, go roll the ball out and play. Have some fun.
But yeah, I think it was pretty clear that they were going to be in the first four.
Right.
After the Big 12 tournament, almost all the bracketologists had them but in that first four category. There was some talk about what happens if Princeton loses the Ivy League in the Ivy League final. Would that knock somebody out? I think it probably would have knocked somebody out because they would have taken Princeton as an at-large, but I don't think it would have been ASU. I think it either would have been Richmond or Nebraska that would have got knocked out, and ASU I think still would have been in.
Right.
And that was true when you look at the seedings too, because the Richmond Nebraska game is first four game is 11 seeds.
Right.
And the ASU game is against Virginia. Those are 10 seeds. So I don't think even the Princeton thing, I don't think would have knocked ASU out.
Right.
But, look at BYU too. I feel bad for BYU. They beat ASU twice. They finished really strong, and they were the first team out. It wouldn't have taken much for it to go the other way, and ASU would be in the WBIT, BYU would be in NCAA. That close.
Well, I thought, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was looking at it, when you're saying with Nebraska's matchup there, I thought that, I don't know, because you said Nebraska's playing Richmond?
Yeah, Nebraska, Richmond, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that BYU would have gotten in over Richmond. And I just quickly looked at Richmond's schedule. I mean, again, and like I said, when I don't see anybody playing, the eye test is hugely part of that, but I was like, so, but.
Well, I haven't studied Richmond or Nebraska, actually either one, too much. So it's hard for me to say there, but, I saw BYU. I know how BYU finished. I know how they played in the tournament. They're good.
Right. Yes.
They're a good team. And, that's going to be I like their coach. Their coach is from here, from Mesa.
Yep.
He's a first-year guy too. I think you're going to have a really good rivalry there.
Oh, yeah.
Going forward.
Oh, it's just going to – I mean, from what we've seen this year, and I mean, like what Oklahoma State's done, and obviously, like you said, like TCU, what they're doing with, seeing what they're doing too. Like, it's just – yeah, you can just see, and what Coach Miller's done now, and ASU's not, if other teams are going to keep treating him like an afterthought, then that's going to go bad for him. Which obviously, after what he's done, I don't think that'll happen. But hey, man, thanks for the time again. Phenomenal tribute to Miss Hannah Henry. Again, it is tragic, but a phenomenal tribute. Thanks for jumping in. And yeah, I mean, hey, tennis beat U of A this weekend too. Women's tennis, they beat them. So
I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah.
And one thing I should say, Graham Rossini was at the women's basketball media availability yesterday, and he was talking about somebody asked him, "Are there any parallels between hiring Molly and looking for in men's basketball?" Right. And he answered that question and said, leadership, and I think they're looking for the kind of dynamic personality similar to what Molly's had. You've got to get out there and, there's seemingly 10 of you instead of one of you.
Right, exactly.
And so I don't pretend to know who they're going to hire in men's basketball, but I think that if you look at the kind of person that he's hired lately with, JJ Van Niel, the softball coach, the beach volleyball coach. There's probably somebody, the tennis coach, some of these hires that they've made, and especially Molly, I think you can extrapolate from that in terms of what kind of person he's looking for on the men's side.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, again, in this day and age with people say the portal, can you win right away? And, but you still got to be able to coach and you got to have buy-in. So, I mean, that's, and obviously Molly always credits, she has a very, very, very good experienced staff too. So, But hey, I'm stoked too, and also stoked for they said softball. Yeah, Coach Bartlett. I mean, they had a good weekend. You get 2 out of 3 from Oklahoma State. I'm still mad at Utah, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you. But yeah, I mean, whoever they do hire, whoever gets on the men's side, and a lot of names get thrown out and people's this and that. And I know when somebody did mention a name to me, and he's an alum, and again, he coached, but I don't know if he, if he has interest. But people have said that like Byron Scott, if you brought him back, I'm like, ooh, I'm like that could be it. I'm like, but again, I don't know. Obviously, where he's at, he wants to put that in. Do you want to go? And I'm not calling Byron old, but I'm saying you want to go younger. Like I said, there are names out there. But to your point, I digress. It's a great point because whoever they bring in, yeah, it's going to be like you said, that passion, that energy, and hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if Derek Glasser is too inexperienced. I have no idea. But
Right.
Again, they love to hire people with ASU backgrounds.
Yep.
And younger guy, and he's got apparently James Harden and some other people behind him. So who knows? Who knows? But either wherever they hire, I think some of these other recent hires are a tip-off as to what kind of coach they're looking for.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So, well, my friend, hey, thanks again for jumping in. I always love when you jump in, catch all your stuff, obviously, on the Wilner Report, and then doing stuff all over. Like I said, I can't wait to, bounce around with you at the Women's Final Four, too. So I'm stoked, too, because it's the first one that I get to cover locally. So I'm pretty
There you go.
So the Pitchfork Lunch will be out there. So I can't wait for obviously, I want I want to enjoy the tournament, but I can't wait for the Final Four to get here as well.
All right, Michael, good seeing you.
Awesome. That is Jeff Metcalfe. He is awesome. And we'll take a quick break. We'll kind of let you, as you've been eating, digest that, and then we'll wrap up. Obviously, like you said, tennis got the win against U of A. Men's golf crushing it. They're playing in Tucson today and tomorrow. Absolutely rolling. Women's golf rolling. It's just fun to be a Devil. And now, like Jeff said, we need a new men's basketball coach, but it'll be very, very interesting. So, yes, we'll step aside real quick and have more Pitchfork Lunch coming right up. As we are back here on the good old Pitchfork Lunch. Yep. I am Michael Garcino at Diablos005_ on X, artist formerly known as the Twitter. Check out the show live there every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, as you can, again, check it out there on the good old X, artist formerly known as Twitter. Plus, you can go to the wonderful world of IG, Michael.Cartoon.5, and YouTube, guys. Watch live on YouTube, but Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Forks up to the new subscribers as well. As you all you have to do is go to YouTube. You know how to get there, and you see my name, Michael Cartoon. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Champ 005 at MVC005 on YouTube. And subscribe. As again, like I said, you've missed a plethora of phenomenal controversies. You just missed one with Jeff Metcalfe if you're just jumping in, as we were about to wrap up the show. So yes, subscribe at YouTube so you can get all caught up, because there are a plethora of phenomenal con reviews you have missed. Again, Hannah Henry, a tribute. It's up on ASU's website. But I mean, Jeff, again, having covered Olympic sports as long as he had for ASU, like, you know, the beat he did for AZ Central at ASU. And again, we were both there in 2018. Again, I hadn't met Jeff yet, unfortunately, but fortunately I have met him, so that's a good thing. But yeah, and you heard him like Graham talking about Graham Rossini, the athletic director, talking about that. It's just so stoked for Molly Miller, man. Forks up, Coach Miller, and for your obviously team McKenna Brackens on her video is hilarious. Again, the last team named. Again, you know, usually you go alphabetical order, and I get, you know, we're going to do the regions first, but man, you know, usually go alphabetical order. But nonetheless, the Devils are in, like Jeff said, and you know, as we look at the bracket, you know, the Fort Worth Regional 1, you know, UConn, like Jeff said, there's the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed there is Vanderbilt, and then in the Regional 4 in Sacramento, that's where he said South Carolina's the number 1 seed, and Iowa's the number 2 seed. But yeah, that first 4, Nebraska takes on Richmond, like Jeff was saying, for an 11 seed. Nebraska takes on Richmond, and then Missouri State takes on Stephen F. Austin for a 16 seed. And then Southern takes on Samford for a 16 seed, and then the 10 seed, which again would be part of the first in, or the bubble teams that were in. Again, I don't, you know, 24 and 10, I don't agree bubble, but again, I digress, because yeah, so they would play Georgia, because it's for the Regional 4 Sacramento, which, like I said, that's where South Carolina's the number 1 seed. So in an Elite 8, ASU could play South Carolina. I'm not going to. I guarantee. Charles Barkley, shout out to Chuck, because Chuck's the man. But no, I'm just saying you could have an ASU South Carolina Elite 8 matchup. Just saying. But yeah, that's one side. And then, by the way, the other UCLA, like Jeff said, the other number 1 seed in the Regional 2 in Sacramento, they're the number 1 seed. And then LSU is a 2 seed. Right now, and then Texas, like in the Fort region, the Regional 3, which is Fort Worth, Texas is number 1, and Michigan is number 2. So, yeah, because I mean, you think about it, like TCU's the 3 seed in that Regional 4 Sacramento, and I will say this real quick: TCU's the 3 seed in the Regional 4. So if ASU beats Virginia, they take on Georgia. They could take on TCU in the Sweet 16. I'm just saying it would be tough, because you'd have to go from Georgia to taking on number 2 Iowa, or Fairleigh Dickinson, FTU's 15, Hey, you guys know this, and not even because it's women's. In the men's, I know not to assume. So, but that's what the Devils have coming up. So very stoked. Like I said about that. Hey, by the way, just saw this. Dimitri Donald is the director of scouting for ASU football. So he'll be joining the staff as ASU football as the director of scouting. So he is from Texas. But yeah, Coach Donald, that just saw that. Jeff actually shared that. But yeah, it about a little bit about an hour and a half ago. So he put that up. But yeah, so awesome to see. Yeah, Coach Donald. So that's awesome. But before we do get out of here, again, just want to remind everybody. Again, men's golf. They are again rocking it as they are playing in Tucson today and tomorrow at the Arizona Thunderbird. They took first place at the Des Moines Classic. They were 39 under par. They won by 19 strokes. Yeah, pretty awesome. Yeah, they won by 20 strokes. And then FIFA Laupakdi earned top honors as well as the number 9 men's golf team. And I know I've been telling you this, number 9's men's golf team. They're in a stretch of 5 tournaments. So 15 rounds in a 31-day stretch in Mexico, the Cabo Collegiate, San Francisco, Des Moines, which they just finished, Tucson, and then West Palm Beach, the Valspar Invitational. West Palm Beach, Valspar, and then Carlton, Texas. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But they're just, again, Coach Thurman has them in their groove, and then FIFA Laupakdi, he matched SMU's Ben Steinman for the top spot at 13 under, 203. He shot a 64, 67, and a 72. So yeah, he was 13 under par. ASU shot 39 under to beat TCU by 20 strokes. So that's freaking phenomenal, man. Forks up, man. They just, again, they got it rocking. But yeah, Coach Thurman, man, just absolutely again. We've talked to him. I look forward to talking to him again. But man, we got to get out of here. Again, having Jeff on talking about Hannah Henry, the tragic loss of the Sun Devil family. So again, prayers and love to her family. Sun Devil Nation, again, part of the. Again, she'll always be part of the legacy of ASU. But I mean, when you think of triathlon, again, it's early stages, and finally, like Jeff and I talking about it being NCAA. So yeah, I mean, it's just nothing but love, support for her family. It's tough, but live a sustainable life. She was doing it, and so man, just again, forks up to everything that she accomplished. Again, not just like Jeff said, athletically, but as a person. You heard her teammates. Check out Jeff's article on the ASU website. But her teammates saying like he said, you're quiet, humble. Like she won a national championship, and she's deflecting to her teammates. But man, it's just obviously loss is always tough. But to her family, nothing but prayers and love. And support in this time because, like I said, 26 years. But of course, Jeff hit it right on like he always does and is known to do. That she lived a very full 26 years because she was doing what she wanted to do, and just a tough loss. Pitchfork Lunchers, a tough loss, but so prayers and love to her family. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you tomorrow. Wednesday, like I said, Wednesday, by the way, we're going to have Coach Party. That's going to finalize the schedule on that. But again, lacrosse, number 5 in the lacrosse playing well too. Water polo, again, number 5 in the country. Has had just an insanely phenomenal season so far. They still got a little bit of season left. I'll show you some stuff from Senior Day tomorrow too. But yes, yeah. So we're gonna have Coach Party on Wednesday, and probably Millie Quinn on Thursday. She scored 8 goals the other day to have 100 for the season against USC. Like 100 goals, like that's insane, absolutely insane. Dominance, phenomenal. Teams know you're gonna do things, and you still do it. So, but yeah, we're gonna have Coach Party. We're also gonna aim for some other guests too. Again, trying to work out schedules and stuff like that. So, have a phenomenal rest of your Monday. Again, much love, Sun Devil Nation. I'm trying to have a phenomenal rest of your Monday. I will see you tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel. And yes, you know what? As you guys know, for reigning back-to-back Big 12 champs women's volleyball has reminded me, it is hashtag our state. You learned that again in tennis this last weekend, team down south. So it is hashtag our state. And I will always, because of women's volleyball, remind you of that. Yeah, just absolute dominance. And you get the tennis win, Territorial Cup tennis win, and it's that weekend softball. So, again, have a phenomenal rest of your Monday. Forks up to you, Hannah Henry, for everything that you represented, everything you did. In the classroom, obviously graduating with honors, sustainability, and then, yes, your phenomenally epic triathlon career at ASU, qualifying for marathons during the Rock and Roll Marathon. Truly a great person and a great Sun Devil, Hannah Henry. We will see you tomorrow on Pitchfork Lunch.
I went to Arizona State. Right. I'm a Sun Devil, man.
The 27-yard line. That's a great call, too. Blake Baker, Plummer will put it up, throws over the middle. Pull, touchdown. Quick flag.
3rd down and 5. Levitt swings it to Scatterboom. Scatterboom breaks defenders. Here he goes again. Scatterboom is the running back, and he is immediately met in the backfield, runs through the contact, and then throws a shoulder for good measure.
On this team this year. That is true. High in the air. Right center field. Brandon Compton. Welcome to 2025. Today. This one the other way. Still going back. That's the track. Walks up and down.
Edwards pulls up and buries it. Richardson drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her 3 right on the money.
Takes his shot for Darby. Flag out. Doesn't matter.